Everyone. Thank you for joining us in this webinar that we, together with the Embassy of Pakistan in Buenos Aires, the Trade Development Authority of Pakistan, TDAP, and the Sialkot Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Today we will present business opportunities and trade potential between our countries. We please ask you to keep your microphones off and to send us your questions to the chat in order to answer them in the Q&A space at the end of the webinar. The working language will be English. Despite this, feel free to send us your question also in Spanish if you need it. We would like to start the conference with a few opening words from authorities. I want to introduce Mr. Felipe Puig, General Manager of the Chamber of Commerce and Services of Uruguay. Felipe, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Facundo. Good morning to all of you here in Uruguay, and good afternoon to those of you in Pakistan. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you to this working meeting, which has been organized together with the Embassy of Pakistan in Buenos Aires, the Trade Development Authorities of Pakistan, and the Sialkot Chamber of Commerce and Industry. First of all, I would like to greet the authorities and speakers that will join us today. Mr. Hamel Ahmed Baloch, Trade Investment Counselor of the Embassy of Pakistan in Buenos Aires. Mr. Jose Ramiro Reyes, which is Minister of the Uruguayan Embassy in Buenos Aires. Mr. Kasim Malik, Vice President of the Sialkot Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And Mrs. Fatima Khalil, Director of Engineering and Mineral Department of Trade Development Authorities of Pakistan. I also would like to greet all the Uruguayans and Pakistani businessmen which are virtually present today, who have expressed interest in exploring commercial opportunities between both countries, chasing the target of doing business and therefore increase bilateral trade. We all know that the world is going through hard and complex times and that lead nations and companies face now new challenges in their international business and operation. In this context, it is necessary for Uruguayan and other businessmen to work hard, not only to strengthen current and commercial relations, but also to identify new business opportunities in other countries. Our chamber, and especially our International Trade Department, has a frequent and close dialogue with representatives of art in Argentina, always trying to improve commercial bonds between both business communities in terms of goods, services, and investments in sectors that have great potential in each country. Today's event will focus on aspects such as business diversification, tariffs, bilateral trade, commercial challenges, among others. We really hope this will be the first of many events that we can organize together. Finally, I would like to congratulate the working teams for accomplishing this webinar. I have no doubt that this will be a fruitful and interesting event for all of us. The International Trade Department of our chamber will remain at your entire disposal for any issues, requests, inquiries that you may have. I hope that you enjoy this event, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Felipe. Now we will listen to Mr. Hamil Ahmed Baloch, Trade and Investment Counselor of the Embassy of Pakistan in Buenos Aires. Mr. Baloch, thank you for your cooperation to this conference, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Respected Mr. Philip Puig, the General Manager of the Chamber of Commerce and Services of Uruguay, Mr. Jose Reyes, Minister, Economy and Trade in the Embassy of Uruguay and Argentina, Mr. Qasim Malik, the Vice President, Sialkot Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Ms. Fatma Khalil, the Deputy Director, Trade Development Authority of Pakistan, and colleagues in the Trade Development Authority of Pakistan, Ms. Ana Laura Fernandez, and Mr. Facundo from the Department of International Trade, Chamber of Commerce and Services, Uruguay, distinguished and respected participants from Uruguay and Pakistan, and a very good morning to you in Uruguay and good evening to friends in Pakistan. I'm Jamil Ahmed Baloch. I'm the Trade and Investment Counselor. I'm looking after the trade and economic affairs between Pakistan and Argentina, as well as Chile, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Ecuador. It is indeed a matter of great honor for me to welcome you all on behalf of Trade and Investment Section to this historic and one of its kind event, a business-to-business engagement between Pakistan and Uruguay. This is an important and historic event because despite huge distances between the two countries, language barriers, and not much awareness about each other's trades and economic outlook, there is tremendous potential for strengthening our economic relations and to know each other more. In fact, the theme of the webinar is to create awareness about the trade potential the two countries have and to capitalize on that potential. Although friends from Uruguay Chamber will describe Uruguay's economic and trade outlook and perspective in detail, I will just remind my distinguished participant from Pakistan that Uruguay is one of the most important members of Mercosur, the Southern Common Market, and the 8th round of negotiation, which culminated in the establishment of World Trade Organization, were launched in Uruguay in September 1986 in Punta del Este, Uruguay. That is why they are known as Uruguay rounds. For our friends in Uruguay, Pakistan is a proud country, nation of 220 million. We have a GDP, nominal GDP of 346 billion. We have a liberal trade and investment regime in place, and all our sectors are open for investment. Pakistan, as a member of World Trade Organization, has a liberal tariff regime with highest tariff slabs of from 0 to 20% are our major trade slabs, tariff slabs. Although there are higher tariffs for automobiles, but they are very negligible. There are very negligible tariff lines covered under that tariff. Pakistan does not impose any taxes on exports. Our major exports are that of textile, leather, rice, mineral, and our friends will be dilating upon the products which we are exporting, which we are importing. And our bilateral trade with Uruguay is in the range of 14 to 16 million US dollar, which it fluctuates between the years. And our major commodities which we currently are exporting to Uruguay include home textile fabric, cutlery items, surgical instruments, sports goods, float glass, etc. Whereas we mostly import odoriferous substances, finishing agents, milk preparations, etc. from and iron steel scrap from Uruguay. Total bilateral trade between the two countries is currently, I should say that it's not at high level, and there is huge potential to increase it. And if we can compare the trade level with our overall trade percentage with the rest of the world, it's not that much, but it means that there is a lot of scope to increase that trade. And I will not take much of your time. I just wanted to thank my friend, Mr. Jose Reyes, the Economic Minister of Uruguayan Embassy in Argentina, for his support and assistance in organizing this event, and also in many matters which he has been very kind. He has been very helpful. It's indeed a great pleasure to tell my friends in Pakistan that Mr. Jose has a lot of experience in working with Pakistan, and he has been instrumental in striking a deal between YPF, which is a big petroleum company in Argentina, and Forward Sports, which is the manufacturer of footballs in Pakistan, which is also manufacturing footballs for the World Cup 2022. So he knows Pakistan more than me. He knows Sialkot more than me. He has been to Pakistan, so he'll be talking about his interaction and his experience working in Pakistan. And also, finally, I would also like to say something about the Sialkot Chamber. Although Mr. Qasim Malik, the Vice President, will be giving a detailed briefing of the chamber, but just a few lines about Sialkot and SCCI, the Sialkot Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Sialkot city is one of the most enterprising cities in Pakistan. It's kind of a nerve center of Pakistan's exports, with around 2 billion exports originating from just one city. It's famous for its world-class sports goods, surgical instruments. It's also the largest producer of hand-sewn footballs, with local factories manufacturing 40 to 60 million footballs a year, amounting to nearly 60% of the world production. In fact, the company which is producing football for the World Cup is situated in Sialkot. And Sialkot also is the largest center of surgical instruments manufacturing. It's also famous for the leather goods. The city boasts of an international airport, which is a feather in the cap of the city, because it's a totally, what you can say, private sector established airport at Sialkot. And Sialkot Chamber, it's a big name in Pakistan, and it was established in 1976. It's one of the most influential chambers in Pakistan with over 800 members. Sports goods are their specialty, but they are also producers there. They have also members who are manufacturers of sportswear and other kinds of sports goods. And that's all from me. I hope that as Mr. Felipe said, that it's the first but will not be the last interaction which we have, and we will continue to organize such events with the cooperation of the chamber. And I really appreciate the work of Mr. Facundo and Miss Laura, because they have always been very, very, very responsive to us, and we always have a very good relationship with them, and we want to strengthen that relationship. Thank you very much, and we hope that we will have a good meeting today.
Thanks. Good morning to all. Thanks, Felipe, for your words. Jamil, the same for you. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I will speak my best English. So I am here in the embassy of Buenos Aires in Argentina. I live here for my last 20 years in Buenos Aires. All my life I've been in my private work. Right now I am working for our government. My experience was always on commerce worldwide, and like Jamil told you, I have a very good experience in Pakistan. I want to say congratulations to the Sialkot city, where I've been there a couple of days, like 4 years ago. We have a very big challenge for YPF here, that is the gas station in Argentina. They produce in Pakistan more than 500,000 soccer balls, and we make it with Forward Group, with Mr. Hassan, that he's the owner. And really, again, I want to say you congratulations to the people of Sialkot, because really it was a very big order, and I trust in them, they trust in us, and they agree with the production time. Really was a fantastic experience. Actually, YPF is continue working with that company in Pakistan, because they had not good experience with some factories in China, and they come back to Sialkot. You know that for the commerce, the price is important, of course, but the most important are the service, the factories, and the trust work when you do commerce. So from this embassy, I am trying to also to help Jamil and his team to see what we can do in Uruguay. Of course, Uruguay is a very serious country. I think that we have a great opportunity in South America for Pakistan. Of course, we have very good experience in free zones. We can export, import any kind of goods without any complication. You know that in this country, Argentina, I love Argentina, but this is very difficult right now to import, to export. So I think that a lot of countries in the world are seeing Uruguay like a big opportunity in Latin America, and you can stock merchandise. You are free. That is the word of free zone. So again, I am here in the embassy to take investment to Uruguay, and any help you need, you can contact me whenever you want. And I have contact Jamil with some supermarkets in Uruguay, with the people, you know, Felipe very well, Tata, that they import some goods from Pakistan. So again, all my life I travel and I sell. So my experience is to try to Pakistan, to try to do more business in Uruguay. So thanks to all of you, and thanks Jamil to invite me to this first experience of commerce with Pakistan. But you are in very good hands with Felipe and with the Chamber of Commerce of Uruguay. I try to do a little more, but you have very good people in Uruguay. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. As Mr. Camille Balot said, we would like to thank the embassy for the support and for joining us today. Finally, we will give the space to Mr. Qasim Malik, Vice President of the Sialkot Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you.
Good morning in Argentina. Good morning in Uruguay. My name is Qasim Malik, and I'm Vice President, Sialkot Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And I'm also Chairman for Trade Delegations and Trade Fairs for Sialkot Chamber. And I thank you everyone for appreciating Sialkot's role in Pakistan's exports, and we have always been keeping great relationships with South American countries because we know that football is like a big thing, in South America. Some people call it like a religion, and so we really we have been our many companies have been already working with a lot of South American countries because we have a lot of potential. So before I start, I think we should I should first of all introduce the export industry of Sialkot. So ladies and gentlemen, Sialkot is the only city in Pakistan which is exporting 99% of value-added products to the entire world. And this is the only city in Pakistan which is almost generating 10% of Pakistan's total export, which is nearly $2.5 billion per year. The city is popularly known as the city of opportunity. Sialkot is an important economic center for prominent export-oriented sectors like sports goods, surgical instruments, leather products, gloves of all kinds, textile, musical instruments, military, police uniforms, and cutlery, knives, and so many other kinds of uniforms and apparels, and definitely football itself. And Sialkot is basically a home to more than 200 international well-recognized brands. And we feel happy to tell you that starting from 1978 FIFA World Cup, the Tango Ball, we began this journey with FIFA in 1978. It was the year when for the first time Pakistan's football was used in FIFA World Cup. So Tango was the first milestone we achieved in 1978, and after that, the next World Cup in Brazuca, which happened probably in Brazil in 2014, we were lucky enough to get for the supply for the football, and in 2018 also Telstar, which the World Cup happened in Russia. Again, the football from Sialkot was used, and I feel happy to tell you that again this year, this session in World Cup Qatar 2022, Al Rehla, the journey, the football is again proudly manufactured in Sialkot. The industry has achieved milestone by serving gigantic brands like Adidas, Nike, Mikasa, Puma, Reebok, Baden, and so many others, which are globally, recognized, and everybody, all the different countries and regions, they have presence there, and that's not all, but yes, we move ahead. Sialkot Chamber of Commerce was formed in 1982. The Sialkot Chamber has consistently and successfully advocated the international interest of its members and worked for the solutions of the problem faced by them in running and expanding their businesses. On the top of that, it has also proven to be a fertile land for numerous important initiatives undertaken by collectively by the city business community. We must also discuss the sectors of Sialkot industry is, surgical instruments. In Spanish, it's called cortico instrumenti, if I'm not wrong. Beauty instruments, sports goods, sportswears, martial arts, fitness, apparel, MMA gears, leather products, gloves of all kinds, workwear, personal protective equipment, musical instruments, hunting and outfitters and apparels. So we have a huge diversification of different products. It's not only about the soccer ball, but all these surgical instruments which are used. I was just looking at the Uruguay's imports, and I was just seeing that there is a very little share of compared to the rest of the world with the surgical instrument. But if you see from different parts of the world, Uruguay is importing a lot more. But whereas I would like to tell you that Sialkot is the only city which is manufacturing for all these surgical companies. They could be in USA, they could be in Germany, and then they buy from us, they manufacture goods here, and they obviously put their margin, and then they sell to also to Uruguay or other South American countries. So here there is a lot of potential. You have the potential to buy directly from Pakistan. We produce the quality. We have the most innovative products. We have huge diversification, and it's really important to understand the capacity of Sialkot, where 99% of the products are manufactured and are exported to all over the world. Because in Sialkot, the trend is only export. In this city, we just work on exports and on the international standards, and that is the reason that all big brand in sportswear or surgical or any other category of gloves and so many other products which we are dealing in, they are all working in Sialkot. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about Sialkot, since as you must also know that the government here has initiated the projects of export industrial zones, and as I also would like to join this with CPAC, Pakistan is striving hard for CPAC, also connecting China to rest of the Europe. So here we are going to have a lot of business opportunity. There, people from Argentina, people from Uruguay can invest in Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the best time to invest in Pakistan, because after 5 or 10 years, hopefully the situation will be different, because we are on the best location where China is the biggest economy, manufacturing country, and sourcing entire world. And the CPAC will obviously be connecting China to the rest of the world, and by adding so, our local industry will further improve, and there will be more opportunities. And the government has already planned to initiate industrial special economic zones in different parts of the CPAC. So here is the opportunity lies. We welcome the industries from Uruguay, from Argentina to come with us to do joint ventures. And here is something, by joining hands, we could obviously it will be a win-win situation for both of the countries, and even for Argentina, and because I know I have traveled to Argentina, Buenos Aires back in 2009, and I remember that the sports is the ultimate thing. People are crazy about sports goods, and there is a huge market. And I'm pretty sure that 90% of sports goods are all getting it from Sialkot. So why not? We should have more, joint ventures in terms, more delegations. And here I also would like to tell you that we are planning to visit Buenos Aires, Argentina. My brother in Buenos Aires, Jamil Beloisa, is taking care of this delegation. And I would request my brother Jamil Belois that please also organize a delegation from Uruguay to Buenos Aires once we are there. So it will be a great meeting with the community of Uruguay business community in Argentina. And I think obviously these markets are already being not fully tapped as yet, but we really want to get the potential. And since we are coming, hopefully it is in October, and please I request you for making a favor to organize a delegation from Uruguay to Buenos Aires, where we could have interactive sessions and we could explain more about our products and our capacities, and there might be some opportunities where we could do the joint ventures together with a lot of Uruguay and Argentinian companies, because in Pakistan, in Sialkot, we have huge potential. And I must tell you that you would not have seen this business model in the entire world. This is the only city, ladies and gentlemen, which has its own private airport, which has its own private airline, Comercial, which has its own dry port. We are going to build state-of-the-art hospital. So apart from this, we are also working on social corporate responsibilities. We are working on a child labor elimination program. We have many times we have self-imposed taxes to build the road and improve infrastructure of our city, because this city obviously lies in the tail end of the country, and sometimes the interest of the government was very minimal in building road structures. But that was the time we imposed on ourselves a small percentage of tax, and we have alhamdulillah built our own roads as well. So this is all thanks to the Sialkot chamber. This chamber has such a beautiful and huge persona that the people of Sialkot, which are we are even less than 1 million of population. We are just a small city. But if you see our works, they are huge in terms of contribution, and Sialkot has always been delivering and will always struggle to make the country proud. And since this is the gateway to the entire world, as we are always, our exporters are the ambassadors to the world of their products, and they travel all around the world. So I think I have given a very brief detail about Sialkot, what we are all about, and our special economic zone, where there is an opportunity to invest for the brands in Argentina and Uruguay, and our role for the FIFA World Cup. And that is I think the credibility. That is the credibility Sialkot has earned so far. And there is lot more potential, lot more products which could be added to the list of Sialkot's current exports. And we look forward. Thank you very much for giving us time. And it means a lot when people appreciate us. It really makes our heart very big. And we look forward to see you all in Buenos Aires in October. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Qasim Malik. Now moving on to the next part of our conference, we introduce Mrs. Fatima Khalil, Director of Engineering and Mineral Department of Trade Development Authority of Pakistan, TDAP. Mrs. Fatima, Uruguayan business people, is eager to listen what Pakistan has to offer that we know is really interesting. Thank you for joining us today. Feel free to share the screen if you need it.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me this space. Okay, this will be the scheme of my presentation. We'll start with an overview of the economy, followed by Pakistan's trade profile. We will discuss Pakistan and Uruguay's bilateral trade, potential sectors overview, and TDAP's overview, Trade Development Authority of Pakistan's overview. So this is a brief profile of Pakistan. We have a population of 215.25 million people. Our gross domestic product for the last fiscal year was $299 billion US dollars. Pakistan is a signatory to GSP Plus scheme, which provides us preferential access to the European Union. We also have an FTA with China, which gives our products access to 1.4 billion people. Pakistan has its goods exported to more than 140 countries across the world. So this is a brief trade profile of Pakistan. Pakistan's goods and services exported during the last fiscal year were 31 billion, where the share of goods was 25.3 billion and the share of services was 5.9 billion. Our top export partners are US, China, UK, United Arab Emirates, and Germany. This is the sector-wise export performance of Pakistan during the last fiscal year. On the top, we have textile sector, followed by food group, then manufacturers group, followed by miscellaneous items, and petroleum and coal group. This is the import profile of Pakistan. Pakistan imported goods and services of 56 billion US dollars worth. Our top import partners are China, United Arab Emirates, United States of America, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. This is the import sector of Pakistan, the top 5 import categories. We have petroleum on the top, followed by machinery, agriculture, and other chemical groups, food group, and metal group. Okay, Pakistan and Uruguay bilateral trade. So basically, during the last fiscal year, these are the categories, top 5 categories where there was trade between Pakistan and Uruguay. Pakistan exported these categories to Uruguay, and number 1 being textile articles, tools, implements, cutlery, spoons, and metal-based categories, implements, cotton, articles of apparel and clothing, and toys, games, and sport requisites. These products were imported from Uruguay to Pakistan. Essential oils, cosmetics mainly, dairy products, tanning and their derivatives, dyes, pigments, and colorings. Besides that, we had miscellaneous chemical products, iron, and steel. These are the potential sectors where there can be trade between Pakistan and Uruguay. Number 1 being textile and apparel, followed by leather, fishery, processed food, rice, pharmaceuticals, surgical items, service sector, information technology, travel and tourism, and financial services. So this is a brief description of these potential sectors. Textile and apparel, the textile sector of Pakistan has The textile sector of Pakistan has an overwhelming impact on the economy of Pakistan. It contributes 61% to the country's exports, and it has fetched a revenue of 15 billion US dollars during the last fiscal year. Our main textile items are ready-made garments, knitwear, bed linen, textile made-ups like towels, and our main export destinations are United States of America, Germany, UK, Netherlands, and Belgium. Pakistan has a very vibrant and forward-looking leather industry. The industry has grown continuously over the years, and the export of leather during the last fiscal year was 724 million US dollars. One of the most important categories of leather products for Pakistan is footwear and leather shoe uppers. Our main export destinations for this category of leather is China, Italy, France, Vietnam, and Germany. The fishery sector in Pakistan makes a significant contribution in the national economy of Pakistan. Pakistan exported a worth of 414 million US dollars of fish and fish preparations, and we have several varieties of shrimps, crabs, lobsters, and commercially harvested fish. Our main export destination for this category are China, Japan, European Union, and Persian Gulf countries. Similarly, in processed food, Pakistan is progressing. Our main exportable processed food items are ethyl alcohol, food preparations, bakery items, fruits and juices. And our main export destination for this category are Netherlands, Philippines, Italy, and Spain. Rice is one of the major products, export products of Pakistan. It's basically Pakistan is the fourth largest producer of rice in the world. And this category has actually contributed to 0.6% of our GDP. We have several varieties of rice, and our main export destination of rice are China, Kenya, Afghanistan, United Arab Emirates, and UK. Pharmaceutical industry, Pakistan has a very vibrant and forward-looking pharmaceutical industry. It exported 270 million worth of pharmaceutical products during the last fiscal year. And our main destination for this category during the last fiscal year was Afghanistan, Philippines, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and Cambodia. Surgical instruments, Pakistan has a history spanning over a century of skilled craftsmanship in manufacturing surgical instruments, surgical goods, and medical instruments exported during the last fiscal year was 428 million, and it had a growth of 20%. Our main export destination for this category is the United States of America, China, United Kingdom, Germany, and United Arab Emirates. Pakistan service sector is also growing. We recorded a growth worth of 9% during the last fiscal year, and Pakistan exported services of 5.9 billion US dollars during the last fiscal year. Information technology is also a part of service sector, and Pakistan has a fast growing information technology sector. It reported 1% of our GDP growth in total. Our main export destination for this category is the United States of America, United Kingdom, United Arab Emirates, Norway, and Singapore. Travel and tourism, Pakistan is blessed with a very diverse topography. We have four weathers, beautiful northern areas, deserts, a very long coastline, and different religious historical sites, mainly Buddhism, Sikh, and Hinduism sites. Pakistan has 6 approved UNESCO approved sites, and 26 are awaiting approval. We have good quality hotels, tour operators, and travel agents as well. The financial sector in Pakistan is going through a major technological transition period. New financial groups are emerging with innovative solutions. Fintech tech industry in Pakistan is making leaps and maturing quickly. Our main export destination for our financial sectors during the last fiscal year was the United States of America, Singapore, United Kingdom, Malaysia, and China. So as far as the trade between Pakistan and Uruguay is concerned, we have this strategy or the way forward, which we believe that if we follow, we can have greater trade ties with Uruguay. Number one being developing institutional linkages between Pakistan and Uruguay, mostly through the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of both the countries, promotion of brands in both the countries, product promotion events like mango promotion events we have in Pakistan, participation in trade fairs and exhibitions, visit of Pakistani exporters and delegations to Uruguay, and visits of delegates from Uruguay to Pakistan, and more of these webinars and virtual sessions in the future as well. Trade Development Authority of Pakistan is basically dedicated to trade facilitation and trade diversification and developing diversified trade products, research and development, awareness and capacity building of exporters, and reward and recognition of export stakeholders, consultation and coordination with trade missions abroad. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ms. Fatima. Now is our turn. Ana Laura and me, as Felipe said, we're part of the International Trade Department of the Chamber of Commerce and Services of Uruguay. We will share a brief slide presentation that we create for today about Uruguayan business profile, the bilateral commercial relations and trade potential between our countries. These are the main topics and aspects to be presented. First of all, Uruguay is a place to do business. We're in second place, Uruguay and Pakistan bilateral trade. And the third main part of the presentation, our trade potential. So, why Uruguay as a place to do business? We are a small country. Uruguay is a great place to visit, to live, and to invest. We are a 3 million people country. Montevideo, our capital and main city, is a place with the best quality of life in Latin America, according to Quality of Living Ranking, Mercer 2019. The country leads diverse rankings about low corruption, civil liberties, e-government democracy, among others. Our per capita income is higher than the average in the region in Latin America. Our per capita income is about $15,000, while in Latin America it's 7,000. Our economy has been growing uninterruptedly for 17 years until the COVID-19 outbreak. Our average growth was about 3.8%. This clearly demonstrates our economy's resilience to external shocks. Uruguay has also the lowest risk in Latin America and is one of the most reliable countries among emerging nations.
And about our strategic location, as you know, our country is part of Mercosur. Mercosur is a regional integration process and a bloc which is integrated by Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and of course Uruguay. And despite Uruguay is a small country and a small market also, Mercosur is the world's fifth largest economy. Some examples about the connection or about our strategic location in the region. Uruguay is known as an access hub to few markets like Brazil and Argentina, and we are located in a strategic location, and at the same time we have free trade agreements with Mercosur, Chile, and Mexico. And we have double taxation, investment and service agreement network. And we are located in an intermediate time zone between New York and London. And all these aspects about our location and our economy have been crucial for companies to set up business platform in our country, in Uruguay, to achieve regional distribution center, manufacturing, innovation, or commercialization of the products and the service. We, as a country, currently we are negotiating a free trade agreement with China and with Turkey. And of course, this agreement will result in better access conditions for Uruguayan goods and service abroad.
Okay, and why it's easy to do business in Uruguay and to choose Uruguay? We have a great network of free zones. We have 11 free trade zones. We have also the first and only free airport in South America and the only free port of the Atlantic coast of South America. We have a free foreign exchange market. And the companies looking for setting up in Uruguay doesn't need a local counterpart as an obligation. And it's important that in Uruguay there are no restrictions for the repatriation of profits. Also, our talents can be highlighted. Uruguay has high levels of multilingual workers. Uruguay has achieved the best results in South America in the test of English as a foreign language, TOEFL. This is, of course, an essential aspect for dealing and working with and for global companies. The country also assures its population free education levels at free education access at all levels. Here we have some examples of companies that have chosen Uruguay as a place to do business. We can highlight companies from all over the world, of course. Just to mention some of them, we have Danone, Tata Consultancy Services, and Kia.
Yes, and as you can see in the figure, in that graph, many sectors, no? The companies represent a diverse sector. For example, some of them are a local distribution center and use our country as a hub in the region and to all the world.
So, what about our international trade? 2021 was exceptional for exporting of goods and services in Uruguay. This number of $13.5 billion represents services, goods, and exports made from free zones. Export grew 43% in 2021, and in comparison with 2019, it means to pre-pandemic levels, export grew 26%. The export of goods in our country are expected to grow about 5% in this year.
Yes, and I think that expected growth is mainly explained by about the high commodity prices and Chinese demand, and obviously about the current work situation in Europe that affects our international trade, especially in agricultural products and also in non-traditional services.
Yes, our exports are concentrated in agriculture. As I said, we can mention meat, wood, soybeans, dairy products, that's the main product we export, and also, of course, non-traditional service in connection to what we were talking about, Uruguay as a hub of exportation of goods and services. This makes that our priority sectors in Uruguay for investment and exports are located in infrastructure and logistics, agribusiness, global service, and creative industries like design, architecture, and engineering. About the destinations, where do our export to go? The main region is Asia, of course, because there is located our main trade partner, that is China. China was followed by Brazil, that ranked second with 15% of our export. As you may note, taking a look at the main products, Uruguay is a reliable export of producer and exporter of agricultural products like meat, rice, dairy products.
And our country produces food for 30 million people, but it has the capacity to expand this number to 50 million. And as Facundo said, Uruguay is also a solid exporter of global services as well, like design, software, creative production, finance, and service, among others.
We also export energy. 97% of the energy in our country are renewable, and the country is positioned as a leader in generation and of clean energies.
And related about import goods and services, international trade about import. The most important products imported by Uruguay are vehicles, chemicals, and food.
Yes, Brazil is our main provider with 23% of our import, followed by China with 22%, our main trade partners. About our bilateral trade with Pakistan, commercial exchange totaled 8 million in 2021 year. The source of this data is our customs here in Uruguay. Our exports to Pakistan totaled 1.3 million, were few, and it was a low level, of course. We imported for almost 7 million from Pakistan. And during the first semester, bilateral trade totaled almost 5 million.
Yes, and you can see that we have a deficit trade balance with Pakistan because imports are bigger than exports. And if you see that graph, you can see that during the last year, the exports to Pakistan have remained in slow levels.
Yes, the highest point was in 2015. It was in a way a low trade flow that can be expanded. We will see the following slide. And about
the products, yes.
The main products that we export to Pakistan.
Yes, you can see that 3 agricultural products represent more than the 60% of our exports to Pakistan.
Yes. Milk powder was the main product, and in addition, as Fatima was saying, leathers are important, preparation for animal feedings as well, pharmaceutical products or medicine, and paper and cardboard are the main products that Uruguay exports to Pakistan.
Yes, and in our Chamber of Commerce, we have some of companies related to that product. And,
yeah, solid exporters of agricultural products and solid importers of products from Pakistan.
Yes. For example, in the milk powder, we have Conaprole, it's a huge company in our country.
These are the imports from Pakistan. Highest trade flow from Pakistan was in 2017. In the same way that imports remain stable through the years between 2014 and 2021.
Yes, and are concentrated in textile and clothing sectors.
Yes, imports are basically textile products. Other relevant products are cotton waste, sport ball, as we mentioned, toilet and kitchen linen, t-shirts, and medical instruments. We have also, as Ana Laura was saying, important associations related to textile importation and commercialization here in our chamber.
Yeah, and medical instrument is also a relevant sector that imports from Pakistan.
Okay, so moving on to the last part of our presentation, we would like to discuss the existing trade potential and the commercial opportunities available in both countries. The current commercial exchange can be increased up to 13 million. Our source here is the export potential tool from World Trade Organization. The main opportunities for Uruguay are agricultural products, again, like soya beans and live bovine animals. And the main opportunities for Pakistan in our country are focused in expand textile, plastic, toilet and kitchen linen, and for sport products. So we were talking about this tool from World Trade Organization. In the right, the opportunities for Pakistan and Uruguay are grouped by sectors. It's important to mention here that even though the textile and apparel sectors are protected here in Uruguay with high tariff that are about 20%, Pakistani clothes are already imported and sold here in Uruguay for many of these companies and associations that are related to our chamber.
Yes, and the figure you can see other sectors that maybe have a potential to sell here in Uruguay.
Yes. So, what tariff does Uruguay imposes to some of these products?
Yes, related about the potential, no, the commercial potential sectors of product potential sectors.
Yes, for the Pakistani business community, and 20%, as we said, in textile sectors, products like toilet and kitchen linen, men's trousers or women. The sport balls, the same, 20%. The same for other products. Next one. Okay, products like cleaning clothes, also 20%. Plastic products, they have a tariff apply of 14%. And we have here 2 examples of goods that with no tariff, 0%, an instrument used in medical science, that was Ana Laura was saying, medical medicine containing hormones, that has no tariff. What about our country in Pakistan, trade potential in Uruguay in this market? The same at the right, we have grouped by sector those opportunities. We can note that opportunities are agricultural products mainly. We can see oil seeds, including soya beans, for example, wood, live animals, dairy products, and some chemicals like insecticides. And we did the same here. What tariffs apply Pakistan to this kind of products? Soybean has a tariff of 3%. Low tariffs in general for these products. Live bovine animals, 3%, and the same for vaccines for veterinary medicine. We have a high tariff for low-fat milk powder, 20%. We found already also a no tariff for a product in Pakistan that is food, cheap, of course. Chemical products like insecticides, between 3 and 10%, and waste and scrap of aluminum, 15%.
Okay, and before the ending our presentation, we have some comments.
Yes,
and
sorry
final
for the
comments.
extra minutes.
Yes, some final comments to finish the presentation, and we identify an interesting business potential in some sector and a specific product, as we can saw in all the presentation, and about that information, some questions arise. For example, depending of access to market procedures, the importance about health accreditation and non-tariff barriers. Some question that we have is about the opportunity in the halal market. How can that conditions will impact in our commercial exchange between Pakistan and Uruguay, and there are high tariff in many products identified as opportunities. So we think that tariff reduction should be explored between both countries and both authorities about the countries, and the importance about the public and private sector of both countries should work in coordination and organizing that kinds of events, webinars, and conference that which bring business communities closer, and we think that we should organize frequently that kind of activities.
Yes, thank you, Ana Laura. Here you have our contact ways. If you have any issues or any queries here in Uruguay, we are happy to help you, and our International Trade Department remains at your entire disposal. This is the end of our presentation, which we hope has been interesting and useful for you. Now I would like to open the floor to Mr. Guido Martinez, Trade Development Officer of the Embassy of Pakistan in Buenos Aires. Guido will speak in Spanish language for the Uruguayan audience that join us today. Guido will listen to you carefully. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Facundo. Muchas gracias, Ana. Buenos días a la audiencia en Uruguay. Good evening to the audience in Pakistan. I will be giving a brief overview of the Pakistan economy and opportunities in Spanish for the audience in Uruguay. Voy a tratar de ser lo más breve posible para no ser repetitivo. Bueno, avísame, Facu, si se ve bien la pantalla. Ahí está.
Sí, solo faltaría la pantalla completa.
Ahí.
Ahí, bárbaro.
Ahí.
Perfecto. Bueno, comenzamos con algunos indicadores. Como fuimos diciendo, Pakistán es un país de 215 millones de habitantes. Un dato a destacar es que el año fiscal va de julio, de fines de junio a principios de julio, con lo cual quizás algunos datos económicos varíen justamente por esto, según desde qué año, si se toman por año calendario o por año fiscal. En Pakistán el año fiscal se maneja, repito, desde el 1 de junio hasta el 1 de julio. Como fuimos ya viendo, pequeño vistazo de Pakistán, sus principales industrias son la industria textil, la industria del cemento, el acero, el azúcar y artículos eléctricos. Los principales commodities son el trigo, el arroz, la caña de azúcar. Como fuentes de energía, el petróleo, el carbón y el gas. Respecto a las exportaciones, se destaca la industria textil en toda su línea, desde telas y algodón hasta productos terminados de algodón y de cuero y calzado. Y en cuanto a las importaciones, los principales son el equipamiento y la maquinaria industrial, sobre todo la maquinaria agrícola, que es un segmento a destacar en este webinar y en el futuro en cuanto a las oportunidades para Uruguay. Por ejemplo, el PBI per cápita de Pakistán en el último año fue de $1.798 y el crecimiento del PBI en el último año fiscal fue casi del 6%. Algunos pequeños indicadores que destacan a Pakistán como un actor importante en el comercio internacional. Pakistán es uno de los mayores productores de productos como la leche, como el trigo, es el sexto productor de dátiles, mandarinas y mangos del mundo, el quinto mayor productor del mundo de caña de azúcar y el segundo mayor productor de sal, y aparte cuenta con las mayores minas de sal del mundo. Y además a destacar el proyecto del puerto de Gwadar, que se está construyendo como parte del proyecto de CIPAC, que fue mencionado por el señor Malik de la Cámara de Sialkot, que será el puerto de aguas profundas más grande del mundo, lo que es importante porque es un punto estratégico de acceso a Asia Central, lo que evitaría la actual ruta a través del estrecho de Malaca, y sería un beneficio para todos aquellos países de América Latina que deseen acceder a Asia Central a través de Pakistán. Los principales destinos de las exportaciones de Pakistán, como ya fuimos mencionando, se destacan los Estados Unidos de América, China, el Reino Unido y Alemania, además de otros países de Europa y de Medio Oriente, y los principales orígenes de las importaciones de Pakistán son China, Emiratos Árabes, Arabia Saudita, Indonesia y los Estados Unidos. Respecto a los acuerdos de libre comercio que también se han ido mencionando, Pakistán se destaca como un país abierto al mundo y a otras economías, tanto de su propia región como de América y de Europa. Por ejemplo, aquí vemos acuerdos de libre comercio con diversos países como Irán, Estados Unidos, China, Sri Lanka, Malasia o Indonesia. Respecto al último año fiscal, podemos ver que Pakistán ha exportado por casi 32 billones de dólares, mientras que ha importado por casi 80, lo cual demuestra un déficit en la balanza comercial, especialmente explicado por las importaciones de energía en el último año. Respecto a los principales grupos de exportación, que también se han ido mencionando, como destacábamos, lo encabezan los productos textiles, repito, en toda la línea, desde la tela en crudo y la tela de algodón hasta el producto terminado, ya sea en cuero o en otro tipo de textiles. Pero eso es importante destacar, que Pakistán como productor y exportador cumple en el sector textil con todo el segmento, desde la tela en crudo hasta el producto terminado, con una calidad realmente muy, muy alta. Y otros artículos, otros productos de exportación, por ejemplo el algodón, cereales, el instrumental quirúrgico y los artículos instrumental médico, por supuesto plástico y por supuesto también sal rosa del Himalaya, y a destacar los artículos deportivos, especialmente pelotas de fútbol, que es lo que fuimos mencionando respecto a lo que produce y a lo que exporta en la ciudad de Sialkot. Los principales grupos de productos de importación se destacan los minerales y la energía, especialmente petróleo y carbón, el acero y los metales, la maquinaria eléctrica, tanto para telecomunicaciones como para el agro, y algunos productos farmacéuticos que también Ana y Facundo han mencionado como oportunidades. Aquí lo que fui mencionando recién, como decíamos, Pakistán cumple en el sector textil con todo el segmento en cuanto a la importación, en cuanto a la exportación y a la producción, tanto la prenda de vestir confeccionada como ropa de cama, textil para hogar, toallas, artículos confeccionados, seda, calzado, incluso cuero. Aprovecho para invitarlos y para mencionarles a participar de Texpo 2022, que se realizará en Karachi en agosto, entre el 18 y el 22, que es quizás la exhibición textil más importante de Pakistán y de Asia, donde podrán tener acceso a toda esta gama de productos y de distintas empresas que se destacan en el segmento textil. Respecto a la desintegración por alimentos, que es otro de los sectores en los cuales hemos mencionado que hay una gran oportunidad, Pakistán es productor y exportador de arroz, de frutas, de pescado y de carne a Medio Oriente, además de algunas semillas oleaginosas, nueces y granos. Otros productos que podemos mencionar son los químicos y farmacéuticos, los productos de cuero, el instrumental quirúrgico y médico y los artículos deportivos, que han sido destacados a lo largo de esta conferencia, y algunos otros como muebles, joyas, gemas, piedras preciosas, alfombras o cuchillería y cubiertos y otros artículos y productos de acero. Respecto a maquinaria, esto ya adentrándonos en lo que es el perfil importador de Pakistán, podemos destacar, como decía, maquinaria tanto para telecomunicaciones, para teléfonos móviles, para aparatos electrónicos, para generación de energía y también para la industria agrícola. Ahí consideramos que es un punto a destacar y en el que deberíamos trabajar en mayor profundidad entre ambos países. Respecto a alimentos, aquí también puntos importantes. Pakistán es un importador habitual de legumbres, de granos como la soja, el trigo, también de té, de leche y crema, que son productos que Ana y Facundo de Uruguay han mencionado. Y por supuesto los derivados de soja, aceite o soja en crudo, digamos. Respecto a los productos agrícolas y otros productos químicos, encontramos fertilizantes, insecticidas, productos medicinales, vacunas, plásticos, que también se han ido mencionando a lo largo de la conferencia. Respecto a metales, he mencionado también el hierro y el acero y el aluminio como productos que Pakistán importa y en los cuales quizás se pueda trabajar en conjunto. Bueno, aquí una pequeña muestra de los sectores que Pakistán puede, los productos y los sectores en los que Pakistán puede ofrecer y trabajar en conjunto con Uruguay. Destacábamos ya toda la gama de los textiles, guantes para trabajo, guantes para deporte, por supuesto artículos deportivos, y lo que repetíamos recién, tanto en la gama textil, lo que es algodón en crudo, como producto finalizado, tanto prenda de vestir como calzado, como productos de cuero, y también textiles para el hogar, especialmente toallas. Repito, también instrumental quirúrgico e instrumental médico, y sal rosa, que es un producto que se está poniendo de moda, principalmente en la Argentina, se está comercializando cada vez más, y en el cual Pakistán tiene la capacidad de proveer en grandes cantidades por sus enormes reservas minerales. Aquí un perfil numérico del comercio bilateral en el último año entre Pakistán y Uruguay. Repito, quizás las cifras varían según si se toma el año calendario o el año fiscal, pero más o menos los números son los que fuimos viendo, y también coincido con lo que mencionaron Ana y Facundo. Debemos y tenemos la capacidad de trabajar para incrementarlo o quizás doblarlo. Las cifras actuales, ambos países pueden importar y exportar en mayores cantidades, y el comercio entre ambos países, teniendo en cuenta también los regímenes liberales y la apertura tanto de Pakistán como Uruguay, es posible comerciar e incrementar el comercio muchísimo más. Perdón, se me fue la diapositiva. Aquí lo que fuimos mencionando anteriormente, respecto a las exportaciones de Pakistán a Uruguay, como decíamos, se destacan los textiles, principalmente ropa de cama y textiles para el hogar. Además, también a destacar lo que es artículos deportivos, no solo pelotas de fútbol, que es quizás el principal producto, sino también todo lo que es fitness, boxeo, pelotas para todo tipo de deportes, vóley, fútbol, handball, básquet, y también indumentaria deportiva, además de guantes, repito, guantes no solo para deportes, sino también para trabajo, y también para equipos y uniformes de seguridad. Y por último, en cuanto a los productos que Pakistán ha exportado en el último año y que consideramos que tiene potencial para incrementarlo, se destacan los aceites esenciales, los concentrados de leche y de crema, otros productos colorantes como pigmentos que han mencionado Ana y Facundo, grasas, por ejemplo, y granos y soja o aceite de soja, que consideramos que es quizás el principal commodity que tiene Uruguay la oportunidad de exportar y de incrementar el comercio. Así que bueno, he tratado de ser lo más breve posible. Quedamos a disposición para contestar las preguntas y para seguir manteniendo el contacto. Aquí la Embajada de Pakistán en Buenos Aires está a su total disposición repito, para incrementar el comercio, para iniciar los contactos que sean necesarios, y sobre todo para iniciar un camino de conocimiento cultural entre ambos países que nos permita así en un futuro trabajar en conjunto y en colaboración y seguir aumentando las cifras de comercio entre ambos países. Muchas gracias a todos. Thank you very much to the audience and the participants in Pakistan. So we will open the space for the question and answers.
Gracias, Guido. Thank you very much. It was a really interesting presentation. Now, as Guido said, and in a quick way, because we are close to the end time of it, we would like to open the floor to the audience. I think we have some question on the chat space. Guido, tenemos una pregunta que nos llegó al formulario, que te la hago en español, porque es de empresarios aquí en Uruguay, que es acerca de la verificación de proveedores o de importadores allá en Pakistán. ¿Cómo se pueden cerciorar de eso? Gracias.
Perdón, Facu, acerca de la verificación de proveedores y de qué más, perdón.
Sí, o de importadores, ¿cómo verificar empresas?
Ok. Te lo resumo en castellano rápido y le doy la palabra en inglés al consejero Baloch. En principio, aquí tenemos presente a autoridades de la Cámara de Sialkot. Esa puede ser una primera verificación. Empresas que sean miembros de la Cámara de Sialkot, en el caso de que empresarios uruguayos tengan interés en conocer la confiabilidad y la existencia de un proveedor o de un exportador o de un importador con quien inicien un negocio, pueden contactarnos a nosotros aquí en la embajada y nosotros les brindaremos toda la información necesaria y siempre trataremos de contactarlos por supuesto, con compañías serias y que nosotros sepamos y que tengamos conocimiento de que trabajan bien y que son confiables y que están verificadas, en este caso, por ejemplo, como miembros de la Cámara de Sialkot o que están registrados en la TIDAP, que es la Autoridad para el Comercio. Entiendo que eso es más o menos la finalidad de la pregunta.
Sí, correcto, gracias, Guido, clarísimo.
Perfecto.
No sé si va a hablar el señor consejero.
Sorry, if you want to say something about because the Uruguayan audience was asking about how they can verify and check about the reliability and existence of a particular company.
Basically, there can be many ways you can check the reliability of a company. If you can ask us, we can inform you about the company. And also, we will give you. We will write in the chat box the address, the web address of trade portal. It's a very important link. You can check any company, like if you want to buy or if you want to sell anything, you can check the product. If you check the product, you will also get the indicative rate or the value of the product, and also the companies which are exporting that product or importing that product. Also on the trade portal, you can, on the TDAP's website, you can also find the directory of the exporters. So all the exporters, if you go by custom code, like if you go by the HS code, you can find the list of all the exporters which are registered with TDAP. And also, if the company is established in a part of Pakistan, there are many trade associations and trade bodies like the chambers, like you have the Uruguay Chamber of Commerce. So we have the Pakistan's Federal Federation of Chambers and Commerce, FPCCI, Federation of Pakistan Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It's a big platform of all the chambers. It what you call nucleate all the chambers in Pakistan. So if that company is registered in any of the chambers, you can get to know its reliability or its credential. And also you can check it on TDAP's website. We will post the link of the website and also the link of the trade portal, or from which you can find the products which you can get, at what rate you can get, and from which supplier you can get.
Thank you, Mr. Balog. Thank you, Guido. We have one more question, maybe.
Yes, I don't know if some
in Pakistan, or we have another from the forum. We know that many companies send their contact information through the chat, and please note also that we can share our presentations to all the registered people in this webinar. We will send it between today and tomorrow. I would like to say that Pakistani exporters can find information also in our chamber about verification clients or providers in Uruguay, and the same in Uruguay-Pakistán, that is our agency of investment and promotion. We can send the link in the chat. And also, I would like to ask to Guido and Mr. Camille Baloch about the foreign exchange market. Here in Uruguay is free. We would like to ask about the situation in Pakistan.
Okay, so actually in Pakistan, like we for the imports and exports, like as you have in South America and most of the South American countries, that you have licensing regime, import licensing regime. We do not have such a licensing regime. Any person who wants to import, he can import. He can just open an LC, and if he is registered as an importer in Pakistan, and he has the national tax number and he has the sales tax registration certificate. So he can open an LC, he can negotiate with the bank, and he can import and export. So there will be no problem as far as he does not have to seek a license from the authorities in Pakistan to import. So he can import, and then and if he complies with all the procedures like import invoice, and if the product is agricultural products, then you obviously you will require a phytosanitary certificate and health certificate if it's kind of a pharmaceutical products. But other than that, there are no restrictions as far as the foreign exchange portion of the import export business.
Okay, thank you again. So in order to respect the agreed times, this is the end of the webinar. Audience, speakers, and authorities, thank you for joining us today. You have now contact information, so feel free to send us any issue or any query you may have. The International Trade Department, as we said, with Ana Laura, with Felipe, and we remain at your entire disposal. Thanks to the authorities, thanks to the embassies, and to the audience.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I just want to thank Mr. Felipe for his time, and it's really wonderful that this event was organized, and we were working with you for like almost 2 years. We were discussing this event, and we hope that this won't be the first event, and we can have more such events. And if like we have this idea and we can discuss it with the Sialkot chamber and your chamber, I think you already have an MOU, memorandum of understanding with Karachi chamber, if I remember. So we can have similar arrangement between your chamber and with the Sialkot chamber, so that we can have some institutional arrangement between each other. And we would also like to invite a delegation from Uruguay to Pakistan, and hopefully we will be working on that. And thank you very much for all the support and all the assistance. And we are also at the disposal of the importers in Uruguay as well as the exporters in Uruguay. So we are not we should be working for the mutual benefit of the two countries. So if any exporter in Uruguay want to export to Pakistan, we are ready to connect them to the importer of that product in Pakistan. Thank you very much for your time. And thank you, Mr. Felipe, and all the respected audience for attending this webinar.
Thank you, Jamel. The same from us. We're willing to cooperate in anything that can help us, both countries, both businessmen from both countries to improve the commerce between our countries and with third countries. And obviously, the National Chamber of Commerce is disposal for anything that you may need here. I will also like to thank all the people involved in the organization of this event, which would probably be very useful for many people. So thank you very much, and we're here to help in anything you need.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you all, and see you on future.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you. I have someone working on it, copying the chat.
Hello. Mientras tanto,